Hello. Welcome to HOTFIX, ladies and gentlemen. So, as you know, this is the premier video game podcast where we tackle all of the crushingly insane issues of the gaming
of the day
world of the last few days or so since the last hotfix, which is indeed 7 days ago, ladies and gentlemen. However, before we start hotfix, there is something I must do. You can support hotfix on Patreon. It is in fact how hotfix is supported. There is a link up the top right hand corner of the player. You click that, it probably popped open right about now, but you click that and you go to our Patreon page for hotfix, and you can pledge to the show and help support the show and keep it on the air. Also, if you do pledge, you get a little shout out. There's also a link in the description as well. So allow me to do the shout out. So we have a big thank you to Torches. Thank you for your support. I should probably look at the webcam. Thank you for your support. Death Guard for Life. Apparently we missed you the other week, so again, thank you, sir. Jordan Martin, thank you very much. Alexandra K, thank you very much. Tim Lancaster, I may have shouted you out last week. See, I may get confused sometimes because it's kind of hard to tell when people have become a sub, but you know, it's fine. If I've missed you guys, then message me over Patreon and I will make sure I get you. Okay, that's the pleasantries out of it. Well, it's not the pleasantries. How are you doing, Mr. Kirill?
I'm very well. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, I've installed Bingo again this week with a picture
Excellent.
I found on Twitter of it. I don't know what it's doing. It's trying to sit down.
Oh yeah, I don't. I'd looked around earlier, and I'd heard her like make it weird, like a weird sort of grumbly noise, almost like she was snoring. I looked around, and she was just like sat there, and she just looked at me, and I was like, "Why? What?"
So
I have no explanation.
there's McGee. Well, I don't think you can see it, Mr. Kirioff, because basically, ladies and gentlemen, while I'm looking at the camera to Kirioff, basically I've got two cameras, one for Skype and one for OBS recording. That's McGee. She's just like asleep. Like, it looks dead. It's not dead, is it?
I hope not.
No, I don't
She was
think it's
fine
dead.
earlier.
If it is dead, then there isn't much I can do, is there? I'm not a wizard of the sciences. Anyway, okay. So where do we begin this week, Mr. Kirioff? Well, I do believe we begin with The Witcher 3, which is a massive launch. And, well, I guess, like, so the big thing was performance with The Witcher 3, all right? Now, I'm just going to change over the monitor, and we're going to go to a very interesting post from CD Projekt Red's lead developer, essentially, or the project lead, on why The Witcher 3 was downgraded, okay? And, well, I mean, he comes out and basically says why it is downgraded, but there are some issues I've got with this. Mainly, this is very convenient. It comes out after the launch. We don't talk about it before the launch. That is a very strategic decision by their PR teams not to talk about this until after the launch, because if you start talking about it before launch, you degrade the value of your product when you say, yes, but we've made the graphics worse. So this is what they say. Eurogamer asked the question, and they say, did the console versions restrict the PC version? And in fact, what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to zoom in on the chat, because somebody said this might be a good idea, and I think it is. So I've got like 175% zoom. I'm going to have to remember to zoom out, though, because it's going to be really weird for me to navigate the websites. Anyway, so this is the question. Also, mad shout out to whoever said that would be a good idea, zooming in. So, did the console version restrict the PC version? If the consoles are not involved, there is no Witcher 3 as it is. So, that's a direct quote from Marcin Iwinski. Now, I've probably butchered his name. I apologise. We can lay it out that simply, basically. So, essentially, without the consoles, we would not have The Witcher as it is, which is basically you can sell more games on consoles. Yeah. Well, you've got more platforms, you're going to sell more games, you're going to make more money, so you've got more of a budget. That's basically what's going on there. You can convince investors to give you more money because you're going to get more return, yada, yada, yada. And again, that's what he says. We just can't afford it because consoles allow us to go higher in terms of the possible achievable sales. Exactly. Have a higher budget for the game and invest it all into developing this huge, gigantic world. Developing only for the PC, yes, probably we could get more in terms of graphics, as there would be nothing else. They would be so focused. Like if we would develop only on Xbox One or PlayStation 4, but then we cannot afford such a game. Now, he was then asked, why did the graphics change? And he says, if you're looking at the development process, we do a certain build for a trade show, and you pack it. It works, it looks amazing. Now this, right, is illegal in my mind. This is like This is I'm going to cameras, Mr. Kirioff, because this is like it is the worst. That comment, I'll just read it again, guys. We do a certain build for a trade show, and you pack it. It works. It looks amazing. And then it actually says after that, and you're extremely far away from completing the game.
Yeah.
So let me just stop you there, right? You make a trailer for a game. You, in your own words, pack the game so it looks amazing. Is that not supposed to be representative of your product? We've gone over this time and time again, Mr. Kirioff, haven't we? With all the examples of cars and God knows what. I mean, what? How do you take that? If I say that, right? You say that, you've just read that. How do you read that? How do you take that?
Well, that to me is essentially just someone saying, "Yeah, we made up what it was going to be like. We made it up. We knew full well at the time of doing it that it wouldn't look like that. It looked amazing. It was for a trade show, but because we were nowhere near completion of the game, you know, we have no way of knowing whether it would look like that at the end. It probably won't. So, but it's fine because it's only for a trade show. That's the problem that I get from this. The way that they've phrased it, the way they've answered the question, is not
they've been honest, I suppose. But
they've been honest, but instead of being honest and saying, "Sorry, we made the game look better than it actually looks now," what they've said instead was, "Oh, well, we did it for a trade show," as if that is an adequate explanation as to why you would do something that misleads people. Well, that's the accepted thing, and that's worrying to me because that is literally just like, oh, well, I mean, you know, that's what everyone does. That's the implication, anyway, that I get from that statement, that it's just the done thing. It
gets worse. I mean, the statement carries on, and it just says, and you're extremely far away from completing the game. Then you put it in the open world, regardless of the platform, and it's like, oh shit, it doesn't really work. We've already showed it, now we have to make it work. So, now I know CD Projekt Red are hardly like a super AAA developer with like years and years of experience. But if you do that, you have essentially falsely advertised your game, which I am guessing, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say they were accepting pre-orders at that time, most likely. Or it doesn't even matter if they wasn't. They're still creating buzz around their game, which everybody, up until literally the last couple of weeks, were like, fucking hell, The Witcher 3 just looks like this insane game. The graphics look amazing. I mean, have you seen this? It looks awesome. I've got a big problem with this, and you know, I go on about it but all the fucking time. Somebody has got to be held accountable for this. There needs to be some sort of like trade body or something which is going to, well, I mean, I guess there already is. There's things like the FTC and stuff like that. This is simple advertising where you advertise your product and it is not representative of what it is, and then you are like, this is fine, I know what we'll do. A week before launch, whatever, we'll say, we won't say nothing, but it's quite clear in the screenshots that this looks drastically different. We know the nature of the internet. You've got NeoGAF, you've got Reddit, you've got all these places. You've got YouTube, you've got whatever. People are going to make videos, they're going to make forum posts, they're going to compare this and be like, what has gone on? So what we'll do then to limit damage is we won't actually come out and say, oh yeah, we did shit the graphics down because what we showed you was like unachievable completely. Instead, we'll just wait for the game to launch, to sell, and then we will then say, oh, it's shit. Now, there's a thing with The Witcher. It's actually a really fucking good game. So it's like, I think what's happening is, even though they've been bastards about this and cheeky, they're sort of getting away with it because it is a really good game. And also, it's CD Projekt Red. It's GOG. They own GOG, CD Projekt do. So it's like, oh yeah, DRM-free, we're all for the gaming. And they've got like this, not false illusion around them, but like they've got this image of, we really are trying the best for you as gamers, you know, and especially PC gamers sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems that I've got with this whole thing is that the number of people who, in response to this, are like, oh, well, you know, that's just what happens. It's not their fault. Everyone does it. I don't care that everyone does it. That's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that time after time, we get shown something that is not representative of the final product. And instead of people going, what the fuck is this? This is not representative of what I'm actually receiving right now. They go, oh, this is disappointing, but everyone does it, so it's fine. It's not fine just because the majority of companies mislead consumers on like a yearly basis. That doesn't make it acceptable. No. That makes it worse because that means that instead of you sitting there going, this is unacceptable, why have you told me it looks like this when it doesn't? Why have you misrepresented your product? Instead you go, oh, well, I mean, it's still good. No, that's not how it should work. You should be infuriated that you're basically being taken for an idiot. They're showing you something, and then when you get something that's inferior to what you've been advertised, instead of going, this is inferior, what the fuck is this? You're going, oh, well, I mean, someone else did it as well, so it's not a problem. I mean, what the hell is that? It's terrible.
I mean, will there be a reckoning? This is the thing. Like, I kind of like I would hope there would be, but then like on the other hand, it's like it's been happening for so long, and a lot of money has been exchanging hands. Usually, when loads of money starts exchanging hands on things, lawyers and all kinds of legal crap gets involved because people want to make money off it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look at the debacle of YouTube recently with the branded promotions with the Oreo scam. Basically, a load of vloggers were like, "Oh yeah, I had my Oreo today." Ugh. Yeah, because I've been paid 50 grand by Oreo to talk about it, but I'm not going to tell you that, but I'm going to try and influence you anyway. Like, I mean, and I guess, actually, YouTube branding deals is a good comparison to this kind of thing. Like, with the attitude of, like, you know what? Everyone does it, so fuck it, let's do it. I mean, we've got a branding deal running at the moment from Galactic Civilizations 3. Now, you'll notice it says sponsored in the title, and it says it on the very start of the description. You cannot fail to see that that is a sponsored video. Yet, you go to any number of channels on YouTube that are running deals right now, you probably, I know their deals, but you probably won't know their deals. You'll just look at them and think, oh, they're playing the game. But really, it's a branding deal, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But it's because they can get away with it, because nobody holds them accountable to it. Yeah, there might be FTC rules which say you have to state in the title and the description, and it's actually quite helpful if you say it in the video as well. But you like, title and description are, you know, you have to do that, so everybody has to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What will happen? You know, there'll either be a moment where these people continue to take the piss, and there's a massive crash and it smashes everybody else in that kind of area, and then you can kind of compare that to what's going on with these games. They are being falsely advertised.
Honestly, I thought Watch Dogs would be the catalyst for changing this, because that got such severe like feedback when it came out. There was such a massive backlash against how it looked, how it played, how it performed. I really thought that was going to be the point where people were like, "Yeah, no, this is just getting stupid."
No, Division will be the next one, bloke. That when we see the Division, it will look nothing like it did E3 a couple of years ago. I'd be surprised if they show gameplay. Well, no, they probably will show gameplay, but I'd be surprised if it looks the same this E3. But also, I'd be surprised if it didn't look the same. Like, I can't, like, for them to, like, I don't know, but like, the thing is, I just want to go back to this this quote again, because he talks about they changed the rendering engine. Okay, so he says, maybe it was our bad decision to change the rendering system, because the rendering system after VGX was changed. There were two possible rendering systems, but one won out because it looked nicer across the whole world, in daytime and night. The other would have required a lot of dynamic lighting, and with such a huge world, it simply doesn't work. So then I say to you, when you come out and say your Witcher game is this massive open world RPG, you then decide to use a rendering engine which does not work in a massive open world RPG. It's just ridiculous, guys. It beggars belief that this has actually gone down. But the thing is, and I'm just going to be completely fucking, I'm going to be real. The reason why it's gone down is because you can make promotional material that looks way better than the end product. You can con people into going, this is what the game looks like. Witcher 2, graphically, was extremely strong. Witcher 3, it's close, but it's not as good as Witcher 2. Witcher 2 was like heavy on particle effects and all kinds of stuff. Loads of advanced graphic options, which you do kind of get in The Witcher 3, but they're not delivered the same. Now, The Witcher 3 is a slightly different game because it's a big open world game, whereas Witcher 2 was a on-rails kind of like little, well, it wasn't a little RPG, but an on-rails RPG where you're in small areas. But it did still look way better. So they know that, to me, the guy who played Witcher 1, which was graphically poor for the time, but was still a good game, Witcher 2 was graphically insane for the time and was like, holy shit, and actually didn't run too well. But after a couple of patches, it really, like, I think the enhanced edition made it really good. Like, and there was a load of like mods and stuff you could do to it. But it was still kind of accepted at the time. This isn't a AAA game. It kind of was borderline, but it's still a, you know, it was like when I think like a dev or publisher kind of makes a transition from like very high, like, I don't know, it's not really indie, it's like above indie, but then they go past the barrier into AAA. Like Witcher 2 was kind of on that, right? It was a great game. I really enjoyed it. You know, they're the only adult RPGs you can really play that make any sense to me. Adult in the sense of just the way everything's treated. It's like, you know, it's like Game of Thrones. If you watch Game of Thrones, it's very adult. You know, rape, murder, all of that. It goes on in The Witcher because that's the type of world that these medieval worlds are. You know, that's just what they are. We know that from history. But anyway, Witcher 3 comes along and it's this open world game. If you showed me screenshots, which we showed last week on HOTFIX, of these bland, like, the colours didn't work. They were like really vibrant colours, but it was really bland. And it's like, that looks like a console game. And I'm offended.
There was no detail. That was the thing. That was the thing that struck out. It was like, in a way, I kind of, the more I looked at those, the more I kind of likened it to when you do like, I know it sounds like bringing it back to 40k somehow, but when you paint a model and do the first base coats, and then if you just
No,
left
it's
it
a
at
good
that,
comparison. Yeah,
it's flat. You know, it's lifeless. There's no detail. There's nothing that pops out. And the original screenshots for The Witcher 3 and the original videos for The Witcher 3 were really vibrant and full of colour, even though they had a very like muted palette, because it was, you know, it was dark streets, it was muddy floors, it was like grey and silver armour. And yet the lighting effects and, you know, the detail that was picked out in those colours made it vibrant, even though it wasn't like, you know, in your face colours. But then they changed the engine and they had to mess about because it was open world instead of being, you know, linear. And as a result, all of the detail disappeared and it became bright and colourful, but with no vibrancy, with no life. It's just flat. And the thing is, I honestly,
well, I've got a quote for that. So it says here, it's a similar story for environments and their texture sizes. And well, it's not actually a quote, but this is like what the author of the article is writing. It's a similar story for environments and their texture sizes and incidental objects. It was a trade-off between keeping that aspect of them or their unique handmade design. And the team chose the latter. The data streaming system could not handle everything while Geralt was running around on his horse. So, well, again, it's like we've picked something which just doesn't work. It's so stupid. The billowing smoke and roaring fire from the trailer. Well, you know, where's that gone? They asked him, and he said it's a global system and it will kill PC because of transparencies. Without DirectX 12, it does not work good in every game. So he killed it for the greater good. So again, why was it shown?
Yeah.
Well, so
that's the thing.
I think my window might be open. I just heard like a massive buzz go by or something. Yeah.
And the thing is as well, it's like people are probably getting like sick and tired of hearing like people complain about The Witcher, but in a way, it is about The Witcher 3. It is about The Witcher 3.
No,
it is about the fact that they've made, you know.
Hang on. I want to clarify this. I do not care about the graphics of a game, but when a game is like advertising itself as having much superior graphics than it's actually got, that's my problem. Like Witcher 3 could look like shit because The Witcher 3 is a really fucking good game. It could just look like The Witcher 1 and I would still play it. It still is a good RPG, you know what I mean?
That's essentially what I was aiming at. It's like we might be using Witcher 3 as the example in this case because it's the most recent example of it, but it's less about the game itself and more about the attitude of developers and publishers where they're happy to mislead you with like initial trailers that are, you know, batting way above what they'd be able to do on release and just kind of expecting you to swallow it. And then when you play the game that doesn't look as good, no matter what the game may be, whether it's Witcher 3, The Division, Watch Dogs, whatever, they expect you to just play it and be happy with it and just go, oh, well, that's fine because it's still good. It might still be good. You know, it could be the best game ever made. But the fact is that you should not be allowed to mislead people to that degree. That's the problem. That's the issue. It's just one example in a long list of games that have done it, and it's just getting a bit ridiculous because it's getting more and more extreme. I mean, The Witcher 3 is it's a very extreme example of it, to be honest with you.
Well, so bear in mind what we've just said, guys, on this whole thing. So then he is actually asked, why didn't you say anything until now? So when they posed the question to him, he says, frankly speaking, because we didn't see it as a problem, which is like really funny because everything... all the other quotes that he's made, if we go back to like when he was talking, well, I can't bother. Well, no, I can find them. Where are they? Well, he talks about the rendering. Well, it doesn't matter, but basically, this is a stupid quote when he says, "Frankly speaking," because we didn't see it as a problem, because we know he sees it as a problem, because he said we had to change the rendering system because it didn't work. There's a load of other problems that he listed. It's just ridiculous. It's like, okay, that's a poor quote, or like a really poor quote, something I don't think he really should have said, because that's damaging him. At least in my opinion, it's damaging. He goes on to say like they didn't ignore all their tweets and stuff, blah blah blah. And then he says, "You're saying that we should have said, hey, we've changed stuff, and now it looks like this." This is what he asked.
Yes,
as it was. Yeah. I tell him it looked like CD Projekt Red had changed something to hide. So then he said, "So actually, here we strongly disagree." But okay. He then returns, because we are not trying to hide anything, because you can see where where it's gone wrong. And to be honest, guys, right? It's very this is an article. Like, I'm going to go back to what I said about PR advisement and stuff like that. This is basically, okay, we need to come clean, but we'll come clean after the fact. When there's so much positive press for our game everywhere, this will just be drowned out. Like, this will just be nothing. Nobody will see this. Nobody will care. But we've done it, so we're on record saying, yeah, we had to change the graphics, but, we didn't see it as a problem, but we did, because what we showed you wasn't feasible in the game. We knew this, because we were making an open-world RPG, but we thought, we just show amazing graphics off, because
That's
guess
something-
what? This is better for advertising. Oh, and you know what? It looks better than The Witcher 2, which obviously being The Witcher 3, it should look better than The Witcher 2. Oh, by the way, it looks like shit now because it had to look like shit, and it was always going to look like shit in comparison to what we did show you, because we want sales on the Xbox One and the PS4, because this means we can make more money, and in fact means we get a higher budget so we can make a better game, which is fair enough. If you just come out and said to me, we're designing The Witcher 3, I think there were murmurs about parity on the consoles first instead of a PC release. It would have been like, okay, this is like a necessary evil to make the game better than, you know, to give us a more complete project, because they need sales. AAA developers can't just exist on PC.
Yeah.
Unless you're Blizzard. You have to, like, they branch out, you know what I mean? It's like a game, but why not be honest? You know, they must have weighed the pros and cons, and they must have weighed it up and just thought, you know what, we can't be honest because this is going to damage us, so we're just going to bullshit, and then release a crap statement after the fact, and then just get on with life.
Where they lost me is where he says we didn't see it as a problem, but then they didn't say anything about it. If you didn't see it as a problem that you've had to massively downgrade the graphical fidelity of your game, why didn't you say something? If it's not a problem to you, why would you not think it's not going to be a problem for everyone else? Why not explain what you're doing? Why not show transparency? Then sitting there saying that it's a problem, and then sitting there and going, oh, well, you know, we didn't see it as a problem, that's why we didn't say anything. No, bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. That's not how it works. If you think that this is going to have no impact on your game, if you think the game is going to be just as good as it was before, if it's going to play just as well, if it's going to be just as fun for everybody, then you be transparent about it. But you don't. Instead, you sit there, you keep it all under wraps, you wait until the reviews come piling in about how great your game is, and then you say, oh, we didn't think it was a problem. But you've waited months and months, if not like years, to say that you've had to downgrade it to make the game work for what it is. That's not transparency. If you're saying you've got nothing to hide, well, show you've got nothing to hide by being transparent. Don't say we've got nothing to hide and that's why we didn't tell anyone, because that's a fucking contradiction in terms. It really pisses me off.
Yeah, it does, and there'll be more and more of this. I mean, I can't wait for E3 to come around in a couple of weeks. It's just going to be the same. You know, it'll be.
Yeah.
You'll see people. I mean, look at Star Wars Battlefront. That will not look like it looked like in that goddamn trailer.
God, no,
you know,
nothing like it.
I mean, The Witcher 3, right? Essentially is using the same engine, right? But they've changed the renderer, right? Which I think is a component of the engine. But, it is the same foundation, let's say. Well, on the bottom of the trailer for Battlefront 3, it said, like, in-game engine. Right? Well, they could just turn up the settings up to fucking insane levels. And obviously things happened in that trailer which should not happen in the game. You know, the way the action was staged and stuff. That game will not look like that. But one thing I can guarantee you is it will be the biggest selling Battlefield game ever. Easily.
Yeah.
I can absolutely guarantee you that. Because you've only got to look at the year that we're in. There's a new Star Wars film at the end of the year. That'll make billions.
Yeah.
The buzz will just be crazy.
Yeah. The hype will be through the roof, and it'll shift
like
millions and millions of copies.
Even if it was a bag of shit. And then, what happens? Oh, yes. Congratulations, guys. We've done such a great job on the advertising campaign. We'll just keep doing this. You know, everybody does this. You know, all the major publishers do it, and it's. I mean, obviously the most infamous example is Aliens: Colonial Marines, because that just makes me laugh. Because what they showed you was like a totally different game. That was like, oh, it's the engine's different. It's like, no, mate, it's just a different game. That was bad.
For some reason, that aspect of that doesn't really stick out in my mind. But I think it's just because it was such a terrible game overall. Like, for some reason, I find it worse that The Witcher's done it, because by all accounts, The Witcher is one of the best open world RPGs, if not the best open world RPG ever made, according to most. The reviews have been like completely off the scale. So, it's just been like received really well.
I want to save talking about The Witcher for the podcast, because that's because I've played it. But what I can tell you from it is, if you were expecting a Witcher game, you're getting a Witcher game, and you are getting an open world Witcher game to a point. It is not like super duper open world. It does have annoying things like he'll say like, I cannot go no further. That's because he's reached the edge of the where he cannot go any further. Generally, when you see things, you can get to them, but the world isn't like insanely massive, right? It's big. Don't get me wrong, it's big, but it's not like, oh my god, this is like so big, I cannot believe it, sort of thing. That's what she said. But it's like, it is a good game. Saying it's the best RPG ever, I don't know about that, but it is like, it would be in a lot of people's top 5 lists, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Because even if you're new to The Witcher as well, you would be like, wow, I didn't think this could be a thing, because it's so like, it's just violent. It's just like violent, and like, I mean, I'll give you one example. So you're a witch, right? The game's called a witch. You're a witch. You're basically a monster hunter, right? But you're like this genetically mutated freak, because to kill these monsters requires going above and beyond the call of duty. You can't just turn up as a bloke and try and chop them. No. In fact, there's a lot of people like that in the game who are just like solid, like the Rock with a sword, and they're just going to fucking murder people. It's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, and they could probably kill the Witcher, but the Witcher kills monsters. That's what he specialises in. And there's like, at the start of the game, this is not a spoiler, but at the start of the game, there's like a griffin flying around. Well, if this was a generic RPG, you would see the griffin, it like murders a guy's horse, you sort of scare it off and it flies away. You'd be like, oh yeah, we're going to have to go and kill the griffin at some point, and you probably would. Well, no, in The Witcher, it's like you walk into a tavern and you're like, I've noticed that there's a massive griffin going around. Is there a contract on it? And they're like, no. And he's like, fuck that then. You don't want to do it because you ain't going to get paid for it. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, why isn't there a contract? It's like, well, the Lord's been murdered, and you know, we'd usually have like a collection from the town to try and help us out, but nobody cares anymore because there's a massive war. And it's like, that's what it's like, really different to other RPGs in that respect. You know, like in Skyrim, if you want to compare it to that, that's kind of like cheesy fantasy, I guess. It's not like The Witcher. It's like, ooh, there's a dragon.
You are the hero, aren't you? It's like, oh well, I will do this for the.
That's the
you'll
thing.
do this for the good of whatever. Whereas Geralt is just like,
he's not a hero. He's a scumbag, basically. Yeah, he's just like a thug. He's like a hired mercenary who kills monsters and basically shags everyone. That's all it is. Anyway, we'll talk more about that on Pubcast, which is our spin-off HOTFIX show, which comes out on Saturday, so make sure you watch it. Mr. Kirioff, I'm going to the next topic now.
God.
And this is Mr. Smedley, and I've got the Reddit post open from what he says. So if you would like to take us through it, Mr. Kirioff, I'll leave it over to you because I know you've got love for the man.
Oh yeah, one of my favourite people ever. So essentially, well, in fact, we can do a good combination here. PC Gaming gives figures. A couple of days ago, 24,837 H1Z1 cheaters were banned en masse from the game. Now, that could be the end of it. Cheaters get banned. This is what happens. You cheat, you get banned. But no. John Smedley, the man who in charge of
24,837. So
roughly 90% of the player base.
That's what I'm thinking. You have to pay for the game to get access to it. You don't get it for free.
It's terrible, isn't it?
Okay.
So that's a lot of people to get banned straight away. We'll just start. That's quite a lot of banning gone there.
Anyway.
Roughly double that.
Probably sold quite a lot, you know.
I probably don't want to know. But John Smedley, who is the CEO of Daybreak Games, well, he wanted to go one step further with this banning situation. He wanted to bring attention to what banning does to games and gaming communities. So he put forward a suggestion, which was that people who have been banned for cheating should make...
Where are you, bloke? I'm on a PC Gamer thing.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'll just give you the overview, and then I'll read out what Smedley said. Okay. So, his plan was that people who were banned for cheating should make a YouTube video saying that they've cheated, and that they should send it to him, and he will look at it. And you know, if you're heartfelt enough, and if you're nice enough, and if you are apologetic enough, you will be unbanned because you've made a YouTube video confessing your sins to the gaming community. So this is what he said. My thoughts on the public apologies, which is supposedly made on Reddit, on the H1Z1 subreddit.
Okay, so go to Reddit.
About that. Which is all about that publicity.
Yeah. So we spoke about it before, haven't we, guys, on Reddit?
Yeah. So he says this: my thoughts on the public apologies. I'll give you my perspective. So far, we've unbanned 3 people out of 30,000 we've now banned. So that number's gone up since PC Gamer wrote. One of which is probably about to get rebanned for taking his video private.
Okay.
I want to make sure it's clear that there are consequences for cheating. You don't just get to make a video and get unbanned. This is a very limited time thing to try and raise awareness of what's actually going on.
They like limited time things. You remember the limited time thing of, we'll give you your money back on H1Z1, but for a limited time, because we actually fucked you over with stupid pay-to-win mechanics.
Yep. You may say, hey, there clearly aren't consequences if you're unbanning people. Let's get back to the part where I said we've unbanned 3 people. If these videos go far and wide and it elevates the importance of getting rid of the cheaters in PC gaming, I feel it's an excellent trade. Why? Here's why. These guys could easily go right back in, make a new Steam account, use an HWID hack, and play anyway. Yes, that's the reality. It's ugly, but there it is. And it's true for every single PC game out there. Even the ones that say it isn't. So is this the right move? I don't know. But doing the same thing we've been doing is a tough fight, and I'd like to at least try something different. Video submissions end at noon PSD today anyways. Maybe by then it will be 4 or 5. And then he updates at 8 minutes past 1 Pacific time. We unbanned 5 out of 30,000 people.
And is this an apology video here? From Ultimate Jim? I'm going to load it up. Let's see what happens.
It looks like it. Or is it just a stupid video that he's...
It's a stupid H1Z1.
Yeah.
Once a cheater, always a cheater. Like, okay, so Mr. Kirioff, you want to make... Right, so some guys cheated, and you want them to... let's go face cam bloke. Because, well... Sony, they're not Sony, they're Daybreak Games, which is a stupid fucking name, because it sounds like Adrian Charles' show. Well, I don't even think he presents it anymore. Nobody even knows what I'm talking about. It's from the UK. So, people cheat in your game. People seem to cheat a hell of a lot in these games. PlanetSide 2, full of cheaters. H1Z1, full of cheaters. Cheaters are everywhere, apparently, all over the place in these games. But apparently that's the same for every game. Now, okay, there are cheaters in a lot of other games. There's like, you know, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, plagued with cheaters, does have massive ban waves, but cheaters will always come back because it's... I'm afraid it's just the way of things. You know, people can cheat.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's easier on PC than it is on console. So anyway, he comes out and he says, you know what, guys? We've banned 30,000 accounts, so they've probably sold like over 1 million of this game. Probably have, because it's a zombie survival and it was promoted to the hilt by like everybody, every major YouTuber, streamers. What's up, Chunk? It's a Chunk. What's up? So 30,000 banned accounts. I mean, 30,000 people would go and buy a cheat for this game after buying the game. I don't know. This sounds really high. These numbers do. It sounds like a lie. I'm going to say, because it's John Smedley. Now, I'm not saying he's a serial liar, but I'm just saying like he is very. He is of like a thought process which is very abrasive, brash. I'm the big John Smedley. I do as I please. Do you know who I am? Kind of attitude, and I don't like that. But it's okay because he's a forgiving God. And if you want to make a video of your face and say I've cheated, I'm very sorry, then we'll unban you. Now let's just think about this. Mr. Kirioff's a scumbag cheater. He cheats. Hey, Mr. Kirioff, you're going to make a video and say because you've been banned. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I cheated and I'm very sorry. Or are you just going to go and buy another account? Like actually even says if you wanted to carry on cheating, you're buying another account because he was the type of person who's going to cheat. He's not like, I mean, this is just such a dickhead move. This John Smedley is a dickhead. I'm sorry, right, if he's listening to this, but everything I have... Well,
he is.
I like to remain professional, Mr. Kirioff, but everything I see and the way that they handle their PR approach is very, like... It's very...
It's idiotic and
John
childish.
Smedley, for example, has had planes diverted that he's been on as a result of bomb threats people have made because they simply don't like him. That is really bad, isn't it? If people are doing that to you, why are they doing that to you? I mean, you know what, Mr. Kirioff? I just want to go back to this thread. Has this got like the fucking... This'll have the type of person who think it's great that this guy's turned up and made a comment. I mean, hell, it's got Reddit gold. That, oh God, yeah, you're really doing a great thing. So what do they say? Something about Eve?
I haven't seen that many people like really behind it. There's a few people that are saying things like, "Oh, it's a good attempt at something different." I mean, this guy outright bad move, horrible PR. I mean, 4 words sums it up beautifully, to be honest. But
well, I mean, like a guy here says you. So Wade impatiently says you ban them and fucking leave them banned. This shit is stupid as fuck. Instead of wasting your time thinking of dumb shit idea, he seems to like to swear, this guy, like this for hackers to get their accounts back. Why don't you fix and optimize the game? H1Z1 nosediving left and right. It's sad because the game is so awesome, yet the devs don't focus on the important shit. They want to waste their time with crap like this. Which again, do we go back to the PlanetSide 2 example? Same thing. Oh, guess what, guys? We've actually made a fucking game here, which is really fucking good. You cannot get this experience anywhere else. We should really optimize the engine. Now, what we'll do is we'll make more weapons to sell. Excuse me. Like they make decisions based on money, and all this is, even though one guy says it's a bad PR decision, right? You can either agree with that or not agree with that. But the fact we're talking about it means it could be potentially a positive PR thing because it's getting the word out there. But obviously, we're not talking about it in a positive light. But he is again. I know, but it's like there will be the vocal majority who are commenting on this, and they'll be like, "Fucking hell, what's this?" Are just the vocal. I mean, there are probably a lot of people sitting there and think, "Oh yeah, I really like Smedley because he's giving them a chance." You know, everyone gets a second chance. It's like an American Ideal, isn't it? It's like, you know, you may have done wrong in the past, but come clean to me and it's fine. it's just such a dick thing to do.
The thing is, though, that doesn't even work. It doesn't even work.
No,
I
I
don't see
don't
how
think it
anyone can look
works.
at it and think that this works. For a start, Smedley is supposed to be the CEO of a game developer and publisher. He's not a fucking mafia boss.
No, but you know what, right? He's kind of weird for a CEO, because when I wanted access to EverQuest Landmark, I emailed their PR department, which was terrible, yeah? They were emailing, it was like I was dealing with a child, basically. I was like, I don't understand what they're saying to me. So, do you know what I did? I just emailed John Smedley. I was like, hello, I found your details. I apologise for the email. I'm trying to get keys. I can't get them for your PR department. He emailed me back, right? Within about 10 minutes, and he was like, I'm very sorry how they've operated. Here's a key, and here's 5 more. We're very sorry for what you've done. And these were like $200 starter packs for the game, which we gave them away. And like, obviously, me and Kiri had one as well. And I think we gave one to some of our moderators on the forums and stuff. But that's weird, right? Because they're not like a small company, but they're not a massive company. But that's like weird. It's like, why has he got such a hands-on approach with the company?
Yeah, but this is the
But then this is where it goes overboard.
This is the problem that I'm trying to get at. The guy is supposed to be the CEO of a development company, of a game development company. He's supposed to be in charge of it. He's supposed to be making decisions that directly influence the company in terms of what they produce and what they make and, you know, how they support their products. But he doesn't do that. He fucking sits on Reddit and churns out idiot ideas that don't make any sense. He does something like this. I mean, this has got to be one of the worst things he's done, because it stinks of someone trying to be the fucking mob boss. You've insulted my family. If you confess to it, then I'll let you live, is essentially what it boils down to.
Yeah.
He ain't a fucking mob boss. He's supposed to be sitting there directing his development team, and instead he's on Reddit telling people bullshit stories about how this is supposed to help people stop hacking. They're not going to stop fucking hacking because you've asked them to make a video. For a start, he's already banned them. That's the punishment. The punishment is you hack, you cheat, you get banned. You do not get to play the game anymore.
Check this.
That's the punishment.
So, Phantom says this. My problem with your move today is that you've basically reversed your own policies about zero tolerance on cheating and hacking. Because now you'll let people come back because if they make a video for you.
So this is one of the things I'm trying to get at, and I've just kicked my bin over. Is he's done this stupid thing where the punishment has already been meted out. But what he's effectively saying is, if you then voluntarily punish yourself so that I can then look at it, because that's what it is getting people to publicly shame themselves and admit that they hacked and send him the video so he can sit there fucking wanking off to whatever he's doing, retweet it so other people can see it. So if you punish yourself after we've punished you, we might stop the punishment, but only if I like it enough. That's not a CEO decision. That's not even an adult decision. That's a pathetic child decision that he's made.
It is, yeah. It's like,
not only that,
I'm throwing you out of my guild because I don't like you, Mr. Kirioff. But if you send me an apology letter, I'll let you back in. It's like
exactly.
That. It's fucking stupid. Like when you go on it, when you talk about like saying you're being hard on hackers, right? Is fine. If you make a statement and just say we're like Valve, yeah, VAC, we're doing a VAC ban sweep. That's it. That's all they say, and they just hundreds of thousands of accounts get banned.
That's all you should say.
The problem is though, when you come out and say things like this, you are inviting people to come back and take you on big style. Now that this happened, like I've got loads of similar examples of this. Remember the swatting incidents on Twitch for US-based streamers? That happens because they can get like instant satisfaction because they can see it on the webcam happening. That's why it happens. Yeah. If you haven't got a webcam, that won't happen to you because, well, whatever. Also, things like if something bad happens and you constantly keep talking about it, I'm going to fucking find the person who's done this, blah, 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 right? Who the fuck has done this to my website? Who's done that, blah, blah, blah. They're just going to come back. When you're sitting there and you're like, who the fucking hell's done this to my game? You cheating bastards. I'm going to fucking ban everyone. Then if you want to make me a whiny video, then yeah, I'll let you off. You look like a really big dickhead. So these organisations, because that's what I'm going to call them, who enjoy to look for gaps in certain games, let's say, they will come after you and they will come after you harder. I'm pretty sure that he's probably had his fair share of DDoSes across their entire fucking Daybreak network. They've probably had loads of problems where they've been wrecked and battered, and he's probably sitting there like, this is fucking bollocks, I'm not standing for this, I'm going to make some... But by coming out and shouting about it, you're just going to invite more of that onto you and wreck yourself even more. It's so ludicrous.
And the thing as well is
it's
that
idiotic.
You cannot expect people who have cheated in the first place to come out and try and look as though they're actually remorseful for doing it. If they didn't want to cheat in the first place, they wouldn't have cheated in the first place.
Yeah.
The punishment should be getting banned for cheating. That's all it should be. But he's not only doing this stupid kind of pathetic, if you come crawling back to me, I might forgive you, like child routine that you'd see from like a 12-year-old girl. he's also trying to somehow tie it into gaming industry as a whole. That somehow H1Z1 is going to be some sort of shining light because it's making cheaters confess to their crimes. When really, the rest of the gaming industry is dealing with it perfectly well by just banning the fucking cheaters. That's all you need to do. That's what you do to prevent it.
You will always get cheaters. You will always get them.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, it's a tough fight, and so we're trying something different. Trying something different by doing what? What exactly does this achieve in stopping people cheating? It doesn't, because you've already fucking banned them for it. All you've done is you've got some impressionable idiot to put a YouTube video up. And the other thing as well is, and this is something that really pisses me off, because he seems to think that, he says, don't put any personal information in the video. I don't want that. I just want a video of your face on your YouTube channel telling me that you're sorry for cheating.
Does he not know? Does he not know about Google fucking image search?
I mean,
I found your Facebook profile.
Exactly. As though somehow not including your name and address is going to prevent people from finding out who you are with a picture of your face on your YouTube channel.
And that is actually another interesting point, because you get these mobs of people who follow celebrities around on the internet, right? And if they say things, they will go and do things to other people, right? So if they're like Smedley, if they're saying negative things, oh yeah, you're a cheater, and then he's retweeting it, and they're Smedley's greatest fan, then they're like, who's this fucking gong? And they go after this guy, and they start sending him messages, and they make that guy's life a misery. That is not.
And if you follow him on Twitter as well, when people were sending him these videos, he was retweeting them and saying things like, "This one's not too bad," and it's some idiot, like some teenager, who for some reason feels compelled to do what John Smedley has said, which is probably his ultimate fucking power trip. And they're sitting there saying, "Yeah, I cheated, and I don't know why I cheated, but I cheated, and I'm really sorry."
I'm going to find one of these videos. And we're going to watch it.
And then Smedley is like, "Oh well, this one isn't too bad," passing judgment on the people that he's already passed judgment on by banning them. It is not a good idea. It is not a sensible idea. It doesn't stop people cheating. It doesn't show that people are sorry, because they're only doing it because of some fucking idiot who should be doing his job instead of doing a hack and slash idiot approach to PR has told them to do it. I'm getting fucking sick of seeing this guy crop up on Reddit and on websites, because he is just an immature idiot.
Yeah, he is, and they only use Reddit because they don't want to pay for bandwidth on their own servers, on their own forums. Anyway, let's go to this guy. So this guy is apparently, this is a Reddit apology video. Mr. Kirioff, I will just send you the link so you can like have a laugh. There you go.
Very much.
I'll give you a countdown, Mr. Kirioff. You ready, sir?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, play.
How you guys doing? I'm one of the 20,000 players that were recently banned in H1Z1 for hacking. I used ESP. ESP is a program where I can see, basically I can see you before you see me. I can see everything around me. I can see where the guns are, where the ammo is, where the other players are, what their names are, how much health they have. I started using it around 2 weeks ago. I've been playing H1Z1 since it's released. There was a point in time where it was literally impossible to go from the cabins to Pleasant Valley without getting killed by another hacker. So I used ESP without aimbot. I thought I was retaining a sense of gamer morale for not using aimbot, because there has been many times where other players or even other hackers were able to kill me, because ESP doesn't mean I could kill you, I just can see you. There's an unfair advantage. You know, I want to take full responsibility for that. I want to apologize for all the players that I killed and took, you know, when they couldn't see me and I could see them, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just kill them. I know how it feels to be killed by a hacker, because even with ESP, you still get killed by hackers. And even before I used ESP, I was getting killed by hackers. I know it's frustrating, it ruins the game. You know, H1Z1 is the first of its kind to take the baton and run with it. You know, it's been like a full marathon stretch with all these other games, and H1Z1's actually running with the baton. You know, 20,000 players banned, and it was like I was on watching them all get banned, and I turned off my ESP, and I was like, I'll be fine. I woke up the next day and I was banned. So I got what I deserved. You know, I see how people are responding to the apologies from cheaters, and people are saying, oh, once cheater, always cheater. Well, no, that's not true. I mean, I'm not going to you know, play the pity card. You know, I played the game legitimately for a really long time, and I just recently started cheating because I was just sick and tired of all the cheaters. I was trying to level the playing field, but instead of avoiding the problem, I became part of the problem. I don't want to apologize to Daybreak, all my fellow gamers. Yeah, I messed up. Hope you guys can forgive me. Hope you guys can unban me. I play an Abomination. I'm Seth Rogen on Abomination. I don't know if anyone's ever seen me. I've been on a few live streams. Yeah, I really hope you guys can unban me. I'm sorry for everything.
I'm just going to scroll down to the comments, see if there's anything funny in the comments.
So that essentially...
So you know what this sounds like? It's like this guy's committed a fucking crime. He has like murdered somebody, or like he's fucking done something ridiculous, and he's apologising for what he's done, and he appears to be a 17-year-old lad or something. I mean, this is so bad.
I present you fucking John Smedley's grand solution to cheaters. Getting, like, teenagers to say sorry for something that they've already been punished for on webcam so that everyone can see their face, so that having been punished by Smedley himself, they can then grovel to him so he can get his fucking power trip off. That's all that is. That guy... Now, I don't care why he started cheating, right? I don't give a fuck. Maybe if the game wasn't so prone to having people cheat all the time, he wouldn't have felt the need to cheat himself. But the punishment is getting
It's a
banned.
game. It's a
It's
game.
a fucking
it's a
game.
It's a game.
It's not his life. It's not a prison sentence. It's not a
but that's what
fucking
it's like.
execution.
Look at this.
All it is a fucking game. And as a result now, he's come out and he's made that video. And I really wish he hadn't, because I feel sorry for the guy. Because now, when you look at that video, pretty much all the comments are, get cancer, die, cheater for life, fuck you, stay banned, you're a fucking idiot kid, I fucking hate you, this game's dead to me. So he gets slammed for cheating by being banned. Then he puts a video up because Smedley demands his fucking...
Do you know why he's put a video up? Because he probably can't afford to buy the game again, that's why. And it's just like, shit, I played this with my friends, and he's done that. That's why he's done it. Because that is like... You know, that is just this Smedley guy. I can't. You know, just carry on, Mr. Kirioff. This is just so bad. This is really bad.
I think, to be honest, I think I've said everything I can actually say without getting into personal insults, because I really dislike him that much. I try not to have like a proper dislike for anyone in the industry unless they're like outwardly, you know, full of hate. But I cannot deal with people who are supposed to be in a position of authority, a position of influence, who use that position to essentially pull off just, like, pathetic attempts to get stuff done. Like, if you want to punish people for cheating, I'm all for it. I don't like people cheating. It's not good. It ruins the game. But for the love of God, make the punishment the same punishment that it is for every other game, and that is being banned. Don't demand fucking fealty from kids who've played your game and cheated. Don't demand that people send videos of their face while they give you an apology so that other people can hate on them in public. Don't ask people to grovel for your forgiveness. And when you say things like, oh, well, don't include personal info, you're a fucking idiot. Because all you need is a picture of someone's face and the name of their YouTube channel, and you will probably be able to find out who they are. That's how the internet works these days. You can get stuff from less than that.
I'm not going to show this on the stream, but this is what I'm doing, literally, as Mr. Kirioff is ranting. I'm searching for this guy. And it took me all of about 10 seconds, and
it's like,
this is bad. Like, I'm not going to show it on the stream, but basically, that type of thing is really stupid. I just wanted to illustrate the fact that when you look at the comments, I know YouTube comments are terrible, right? But you've got, like Kiri said, this mob leader guy who's like, I want you to grovel to me. You've been so bad. You've basically committed a crime which is akin to fucking mass murder, apparently, according by how devastatingly bad this is. So what I want you to do is go and make an apology video. I'm going to tell all of my family members about the video. They're going to turn up on the video and tell you to die anyway, and you're going to get fucking wrecked. I mean, that video, look at the like and dislike ratio, 258 dislikes, 84 likes. You know, I know that's, you can read into likes and dislikes is pretty difficult, because people could dislike it just because they don't like the idea of the video, like, oh, fuck you, Smedley, or they could dislike it because they don't like the guy, or, you know, it's just.
But it doesn't.
This
is
a kid
fix
making
anything.
Yeah, this doesn't fix the kid either. This doesn't like.
It doesn't fix.
Oh
No, it literally does nothing. It doesn't stop people cheating, because that's a voluntary thing. It's not compulsory. It's not like that kid had to sit there. He didn't have to make the video. It was a voluntary thing he did. So he got punished for doing something wrong, and then he did a voluntary thing, which has led him to get punished even more, and potentially far worse, because there are people, sadly, who will look at videos like that, who will sit there in front of Google and find out where this guy lives and start prank calling him or sending him death threats. There are just people like that. It's a sad fact of the internet, but it is a fact.
I should make one of these videos, an apology video.
The end result is that nothing changes. Like, nothing has changed, except that that kid now has got a video full of hate. That's all that's changed. That's the only difference.
Yeah, it's like internet bullying is like, this is a very, like, you see it on the news. Okay, people talk about trolls. They get confused because they think a troll is somebody who's an internet bully. It kind of isn't. We all know what trolling is, right? Trolling is taking the piss. But there are kids. There are advertising campaigns in this country that are aimed at kids. So in the UK, that say things like, you know, that it kind of did make me laugh when I first seen this. So it's like a bus that drives by, and the kids are like, "We've seen Johnny's wheelie," and it's like, yeah, it's funny because Johnny got convinced to take a picture of his unmentionables and put it on Facebook or something, and his friends have seen it, but they take the piss out of it. That is the world that we live in. When I was at school, online bullying wasn't really a thing. It was starting to be a little thing, but now everything is so interconnected with Facebook and all this stuff, where being bullied online is a very real thing, and it does lead to things taking, like, you know, people commit suicide over this. There's loads of problems that are a result of it. What this Smedley guy is doing is basically enabling people to go and bully the shit out of these people who are quite frankly not equipped to defend themselves in these situations because they're kids. You know what I mean? They're not hardened internet hard men like me.
He's literally given them. He's literally given these people like.
He's given them a loaded gun and set off.
He's given them a target as well. He's given them the loaded gun. He said, these people are cheaters and you hate cheaters. Then he said, oh, this is a person that's cheated. And they've admitted to it out of their own mouth. Here's what they look like. Here's their YouTube username. Now, there are probably going to be people who are sitting there watching and go, oh, that's a bit alarmist. That's a bit over the top. It's not really.
No, it isn't. It isn't.
It isn't.
No.
I mean, our YouTube channel is not the biggest YouTube channel, you know, ever. It's, you know, comparatively small. And yet, I still get at least, like, 2 messages a day where I look at it and go, fucking hell, that's a bit rough. Why? Like, I get stuff on Twitch. Like, I don't even do anything on Twitch, and I still get messages directed to me on Twitch that are filled with hate just because it's that avenue of contact they've chosen. Now, I haven't cheated on anything. You know, I haven't cheated in a game. I haven't been banned for anything. I'm not sitting there making a confessional video as to how I've done something wrong. I'm just making videos for entertainment and because I enjoy it and because it's part of the, you know, part of what I do. That poor fucker is in a community that has got, like, a really aggressive, childish guy at its head. And he's now opened himself up to basically be a target for anyone who wants to make him a target.
Yeah.
And it's all because one fucking guy who should be behaving like a CEO is instead behaving like a playground bully. That's what it boils down to. And every time I see him turn up on Reddit, every time I see him tweet about how he's doing this or he's doing that, or this is fixed, that's fixed, oh, by the way, we've banned this, we've banned that. For every one of those things, you can see him say things like, oh, well, I'm glad you're cheating. I'm glad you're cheating because that means I can ban you. Because that's what children do, and that's how he's behaving. And it's not him who pays the price. It's the people who play his games, the people who buy his products, the people who make these videos that pay the price. He just sits there and he gets to bask in the glow of a bunch of people giving him attention, which is what he really wants. And I can't stand it. I cannot take it. It is a horrendous attitude to take. It's damaging not only to the people that, like, use his products, but to the industry as a whole. Because if people see it and think it's acceptable behaviour, they're going to ape it and they're going to make things even worse. It's just horrendous in every way.
It is. It's just horrendous. I think that basically sums it up. McGee, come here. Come here, McGee. Come here, chunk. What do you want? Let me just throw McGee outside, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, well, she can say one last goodbye. Come here. I got you. I got you, chunk. Say hello to the... Well, it's at the stream, but I'm using OBS, so in my defence... Oh, it's looking at it.
Yours is more active than mine.
Yeah, but it's looking at it, look. Oh, not anymore. Say hi. Hi. You want to go outside, chunk? You want to go outside and play? Give you a kiss. Don't you lick it. Look, more active. Look at it. It's like mullered. Right, McGee, going outside. Ow! Hang on. It's not the chat. Hang on, whoever you are.
The typical method for releasing a McGee is to open the door and tell her to get out, and she does.
Yeah, she's gone. She probably wants to investigate some noise that I can't hear because I don't have super dog hearing. Okay, so the next bit of thing we've got, ladies and gentlemen, is apparently an advert to win an Apple Watch. That is all over my screen. There you go.
I don't want an Apple Watch.
So
they seem pointless.
actually, this is an interesting thing because this is going to take me off on a bit of a tangent, but Adblock Pro released numbers the other day where they've got like 144 million registered users and it's climbing at like an alarming rate. This is why. I mean, you can see I don't use it, but I've got a full screen advert for win an Apple fucking watch. No. Okay, so no, that's not what I wanted. That is the Windows key. I want this. There we go. Christ. Okay, this is well, this is Konami or Konami, however you want to fucking pronounce it. Their CEO, their new CEO, I believe. Mobile games are now our main platform. Now, Mr. Kirif, I believe, sir, we may have called this. Yeah.
So, in fact, I think it might have even been last week. Was it last week? Or was it the week before?
Yeah.
Where we said we
came out this day.
Said,
no, when it came out last Thursday, right?
Yes, that was it.
Because we basically made HOTFIX, but we screwed the upload up. Well, I screwed the publish time on it, so it went later a day when it should have gone later. But it was recorded at like 1 p.m. ish on the Thursday, and this news came out about 2 hours after we finished the HOTFIX. So basically what they're saying is, I don't think it's really worth me highlighting all the bits and pieces in this article, but they're basically making mobile games now because mobile is where the money is, especially in Japan. Remember when we spoke about the company, I forget their name, but the company last week who were making ludicrous amounts of money per day off their game? Those figures don't lie, and like, it's sad. It's sad in a couple of ways because you're losing a company which did develop games. Push the boundaries, I guess, might be a little bit strong, but they did develop games to produce good experiences and stuff. But obviously they realised that keeping people, like, there comes a point, I guess, where every business has to realise this, I suppose. Unless they're doing well enough based off whatever they're doing. But with Kojima, you know, we look at Metal Gear Solid and we look at Silent Hills. These were cancelled. Kojima was got rid of. Now Kojima was he on the board, or he was? I think he was on the board, wasn't he?
I think he was on the board.
Yeah. So he's like an executive, right? So obviously he's having an influence in the way the company's going. You can imagine a lot of talks taking place over like the last year or so, where they're talking about changing their direction to mobile for their gaming division, because Konami have got like a massive, like, it's a massive company. We spoke about the Super Bunny Hop video where he breaks it down, and it's got like, you know, they've got gyms, they've got like, well, they want casinos, they've got all this shit. They've got loads of stuff on the go. They don't just make games. Like, obviously to me or us, we just thought they were a games company, but they're not.
Yeah.
So for a big company to make changes, it's going to take a lot of time. You can't just go, right, we're doing this today and we're doing that tomorrow. No, it takes a lot of time and planning. Now, if you've got like your board of directors, and one of them is like the guy who invented Metal Gear Solid, the guy who works on, you know, Silent Hills and all that shit, he's this massive name. He makes games and they sell and they make millions, right? He is not going to sit there and go, yeah, we should make mobile games, because that's not what he does.
Yeah.
You know, he makes console games. Well, I guess PC ports. Well, he makes console games. Okay, so everyone knows what Metal Gear Solid is. It was revolutionary when it came out. It was fucking amazing, blah blah blah, and all this shit. So I'm just trying to like envision the situation that's taking place on the board. So over the months that go by, he's slowly becoming more and more disillusioned. They want to get rid of him. He doesn't want to go because he knows he's still making money. But when the board, the money men, look at what's going on with mobile games in Japan specifically, and even around the world, you know, I've seen an interesting thing, a list of the top publishers in France, and Ubisoft are the top, but then Gameloft is, and then Focus Interactive. Well, Focus and Ubisoft make console and PC games.
Yeah.
Gameloft, well, they make mobile games, bro. They make like the really shitty, like they make a Call of Duty clone, but call it Call of the COD Man or something stupid. Or they make
God.
They make a Call of Duty clone, call it Modern Combat, you know, things like that. Or a Halo clone, it's like Space Warrior or something. They do that. They're really shit, but that just goes to show you, if they're making half-assed games on the mobile platforms and they're making so much money, it's like, well, you know what, we're going to do this. You see this again in the West with Game of War, with who's the celebrity who promotes that?
Kate Upton?
Yeah, that's it.
I keep getting those bloody adverts on my phone. Every time I check Twitter, she's staring at me from the screen going, come and play. And I'm like, no, your game's shit. Go away.
It is shit. It's just a Clash of Clans clone. But that shows you how kind of bad things are, because that game is... I'm not going to say it's took that much to develop the game. It's probably took more than I think to make the game, even though it is a clone. But then they appear to have spent about $50 million on advertising. But that's fine, because we'll just make that back, because we've got a ton of players, and like, you know, they operate off the cash whales or whatever they call them, who just spend loads of money on the game, and people who just, you know, so they make tons of money. And it's like a very unfortunate way the industry is going. And when you see, like, it is alarming when you see, like, I don't know if we can call Konami a major player, but they were fairly big. You know, like, for them to just say, fuck this, we're going to make mobile games now. It's pretty telling, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't... I always think, like, they may not be kind of up there in terms of big publishers, but they're up there in terms of games that have had an impact. Like, when you think of, like, when you think of, like, games that everyone knows about, you think, like, stuff like Metal Gear Solid, like Silent Hill. I mean, everyone knows what Silent Hill is. People who don't play games know what Silent Hill is. And the fact that they've kind of just decided to burn it all to the ground is sad. But then again, if Kojima's gone from them, if he's been let go, if he's been, you know, if he's left, if they just stop producing games and they, you know, are not producing any sort of contender for the type of games that he likes to make, in the end, it could actually just be better for us as people who play games, because he's not going to have Konami telling him what to do or holding him back. We could see things like a Kickstarter for Silent Hills, or at least a game that's... I mean, let's face it, if Del Toro and Kojima turned up on Kickstarter and said, we want to make a horror game, that would be funded instantly and would end up making about 20 times its budget, and that would be brilliant, because we'd get the game that we wanted to get. Konami wouldn't be interfering, because it's obvious that they're not interested in that aspect of their business at all anymore. They just want to do mobile. It's a shame that the way they're going about it, because they're essentially just burning their old ties and their old franchises to the ground in an attempt to move on to mobile gaming. But
the thing is, like, in Konami's defense, they've got, like, well, it's not really in their defense, to be honest. I think it is a bit silly that PT was cancelled, because they still would have made money on it. And I don't get where the Kojima Productions and the people who are involved in the production of those games would actually be spending their time on mobile development. So I don't get why you couldn't keep them as well and then do mobile development on the side. It seems to be a bit extreme to say get rid of one. So
I mean,
it's the power
said it's probably it's a power struggle, isn't it? It'll be a case of, you know, the other people at Kojima wanted to move over to mobile, and they wanted to move exclusively to mobile, and Kojima was like, no, we need to keep doing this, we need to keep doing that. And there'll have been like
Konami when he's then Kojima.
And so Konami and Kojima will have wanted to go in different directions. You know, there'll have been different people on the board trying to get their own ideas put forth, and eventually one side's won out. And unfortunately, that means that Kojima gets the boot from Konami. Konami gets to do what they like and move into mobile games. But on the other hand,
well, yeah, like you said, where does he go? What happens next? Like he doesn't strike me as the person who'd just be like, well, fuck this, I'm not doing it anymore.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he's quite old, isn't he? Yeah, like, so he's been around a while. You know, he's going to want to keep doing this. You know, so it's going to... I mean, I guess it's like the Castlevania Kickstarter we've seen recently, where that just went absolutely insane.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, I don't know whether we will see a Kickstarter for like PT or a similar game, but we might see another publisher pick them up and say, you know what, guys, you're such a... Like, because I mean, let's be honest here, I don't know what the figures are, but he's just somebody you could hire, and he's just going to make you money. You just pay for the development, and he's going to make you money, because it's like
the name alone is like, people. You say Kojima, and people are like, oh shit. It's like his name. His name, like, by itself holds power and holds respect with gamers. So, you know, you could bring him on sort of anywhere, and he'd at least drum up a lot of press, a lot of advertising, and a lot of goodwill from people who, at this point, don't like Konami anyway. And actually I mean, when you think about it that way as well, it's like Konami are burning everything to the ground. They're moving into mobile, and, you know, like we said last week, it was like once GTA. I keep doing that. Metal Gear Solid, 5 is released. You're not going to see another game on console or PC from them, probably. No. You might maybe see Pro Evo. I don't know.
I don't know. I doubt
plans for that.
But
if you do see another game, it'll be out on mobile. They're not going to be in this market anymore. And then, you know, 2 hours after, like, yeah, we're moving into mobile. If a company is that, like, dead set on abandoning that side of things, do you really want them making games anymore anyway? I mean, they obviously have no respect for the industry. They don't want to be in the industry. They're not interested in this part of the industry. They just want to make money from mobile games. So do you actually want them, realistically, to be
it's just like,
making.
It's just like the .com boom almost. It's like, oh my god, mobile games make so much money, but are they actually going to be there for the long term? Because when you look at things like Candy Crush, their earnings are fucking going downhill. But they were massive. Like, honestly, guys, they were like, King is like one of the most fucking cash rich game houses, or whatever you want to call them, in the world, and they make Candy Crush and fucking Pet Face Shitbag Saga or whatever their shit they make. They're just fucking Bejeweled clones, but that's all they do, and they just have like infinite number of levels, and they just fucking charge you to go to the next level if you're too shit to do the level you're on. It's like, holy god, that's all they do. That is a shit company, but it is a company that makes money, and that's what everything is all about, making money. Konami want to go and make fucking money. So they're like, well, let's just make mobile games. And this is the frightening thing. You can see their mobile games are just going to be fucking shitty clones of whatever's popular in Japan or something like that, with loads of microtransactions in a bad way to try and make as much money as possible. It is very rare that you get people in the industry, the gaming industry as a whole, who are backed behind big companies who want to go and try something new, or maybe do something revolutionary. This is why the indie pickup's been so much, because you can kind of do whatever the hell you like. It's like, well, I've got this idea for a game. I mean, look at FTL. Got an idea for a game where you're a ship's captain and it's like a roguelike game. You go around. Yeah, if you took that to EA, they just get the fuck out of my office. What's that shit? You know, but go to Kickstarter, go somewhere else, and they do get funded. But Kickstarter, again, is a whole other debate. I don't think that's probably not the future of funding indies anyway. I don't know. I mean, you're starting to see things like Devolver Digital, who are like a publisher specialising in indie stuff. You've got, like, I guess you could say Focus are kind of smaller but a little bit bigger than that. Paradox are another company which do it, where they do sort of pick up these indie-ish games, and like, if you've got a good idea, and we'll put it forward. You know, I follow some of the people who do the I think his name's Shams on Twitter for Paradox. I think he's on maternity leave at the moment, but when he'd talk about game proposals they've had made and that they've rejected because they're just so bad. It's like, you know, because there's a lot of bad stuff out there, but every now and again there will be a good thing which comes along. So I don't know, but I just think it is a dark. It isn't. Well, saying it's a dark time is maybe not right.
I think it's just a shame. I think it's a shame that it's the way it's happened. Like, I kind of feel like they obviously don't care about the backlash.
They care about money. They just care about money, don't they?
It would have been a lot more, I think, acceptable to the people who play games if, like, Kojima had gone voluntarily, or there'd been some sort of arrangement reached where it's like he leaves because he wants to leave and not because of some shadowy power struggle that we don't know very much about. I think that's kind of the main problem with this whole thing. But I'm not at all shocked that they've said they're just going to move to mobile, because it's been looking that way for the last God knows how long, ever since the cancellation of Silent Hills.
It's got really low overheads, I'm pretty sure. It doesn't take much development compared to like a massive AAA game, and then you just kind of make a load of money. And it's like, you know, if you said to anybody in the world and just went, look, here's an idea, you can either have like a 50-man team that works 12 hours a day for the next 2 years to make a game that'll probably make $20 million or something, or you can like have a 5-man team that sits down for half an hour a day, makes a game, and it makes $300,000 a day in revenue for the next 3 years or something. You'd be like, well, maybe not 3 years, but, and obviously you'd make multiple of these games. You wouldn't just make one, so you'd make loads of them. I don't know. Mobile games, there are some decent ones, but majority of them are pretty shit, because generally they're aimed at people who are not gamers.
They're something to play on the bus, effectively, aren't they?
Yeah. Which really, you should be listening to HOTFIX on the bus. Anyway, we shall move on from that. So this is an interesting thing. Now, this is AMD. They say Nvidia GameWorks completely sabotaged Witcher 3 performance on their cards. Now, have I got the right button? Control to zoom, yes. I don't really use control and mouse wheel to zoom that much on my computer, because I'm not blind, Mr. Curio.
Even I don't do that, and my eyes are terrible.
The man wears milk bottle glasses. Or maybe not that extreme. Not yet, anyway.
One day.
So, this article basically goes into detail on some problems that there have been with Nvidia GameWorks, and more specifically the fact that, well, no, this is a bit about Project Cars, but it goes into detail on like how AMD were not given access to the source code for Nvidia GameWorks, which is things like, well, it's their fancy game system. You've got like things like PhysX, you've got their hair system they've got now, which I think is called something stupid, but actually does
Like
make hair pretty
works,
good,
isn't it?
Yeah, it does make hair pretty good. But like you've got AMD saying the fact that they did not have access to these GameWorks features and the source code, they could not tailor their drivers for their GPUs to work with these things. Now, I'm just going to go back to the face cams. I know I've not really highlighted a lot in that article because it is like a massive wall of text. But we'll do my best to kind of summarize it. I know Mr. Kirioff will pick some bits and pieces out if I've missed it. But let's go back to acting like we're a business again. So if I'm Nvidia and Kiri's AMD, and I've got this thing called GameWorks, and this major launch of the year, one of the major launches, is using a lot of my proprietary technology, which my cards are designed for, okay, in their game. This is going to mean that I'm going to sell more of my cards because people want to play the game with the fancy features. Mr. Kirioff comes knocking on the door. Hello, Mr. Nvidia. We hear that...
Can I please have your technology to put on our cards so that the game works as well on our hardware as it does on yours, pretty please, even though we don't have it at the moment. Could you please give it to us, please?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what's happened, right? Now, obviously, this is bad for gamers because it means, and I hate this, I really, really hate this. This is why I've got an Nvidia card at the moment. I always used to get AMD cards. Well, yeah. I'm going to go old school, ATI cards. Because on paper, in all the benchmarks, bang for buck, this is a great phrase I used to like. I never had... There's only been once in my entire PC gaming history where I've had the best, fastest GPU available, right? And this was years ago, right? And I'd saved up ages and ages. I was about 17, I think. I think it was an X something Platinum Edition, X200, I don't know. It was an AMD card. Well, an ATI card at the time. Fastest GPU ever. It was like 380 quid, which at the time was insane. I had to get it shipped in from America. But it was like amazing. I could play games at... the resolution at the time on my, what was it, 1600 by 1200, I think it is, the res, the square res. It was like amazing. But now you look at me and, well, like the bang for buck aspect was then how I operated from that point onwards, where it was like I could spend £200 on a graphics card from AMD and it would be as good as like a £250 GPU from Nvidia. So why would I buy the Nvidia one? And I went for a long time like that until quite recently, where I moved over, well, a couple of years ago, where I moved over to Nvidia. And the only reason I did that is because AMD have loads of problems. Like Battlefield series would run like shit. Yet the card I had at the time was comparable to the Nvidia cards. You know, maybe it was a few percentage slower than what they were saying. You know, they get easily 60 FPS, and yet mine was in the shit can. It's because the drivers were not optimized for the game. Nvidia have better drivers overall, yeah? They bring drivers out much faster. Use The Witcher 3 as an example. They had a Witcher 3 driver out, which helped with performance. Now, The Witcher 3 still isn't the best performance-wise, but I can sit here with my 780, and I can play the game at, like, on the whole, 60 FPS at high, a mix between high and ultra settings. Now, that's pretty good, I'd say. Pretty good. Should be better, I guess, but that's okay. AMD cards, on the other hand, are having problems because they don't have the drivers that have come out fast enough, and that always used to annoy me. But obviously, in some examples, there are games which run way better on AMD cards. Like, I think actually after Battlefield got a series of updates through it, started to run really well.
Yeah. And
then it became like, but it's like this, it's like an arms race, and not a lot of people kind of really know that's going on. On our forums on unitlost.com, you'll see people asking about graphics cards. People will say to me, like, you know, oh, what should I get? Should I get this? Should I get that? You'll get people who are just interested in numbers will go, well, you should always buy, you know, you should get the R9 series, whatever, from ATI or AMD because it's faster, blah, blah, blah. But then I'm reading it like, it might not actually be faster because it might, there's this thing called real world performance, whereas if you've got something and it can perform really fast, but the drivers are made of shit, then the game, it's pointless having that. But then a week down the line, then maybe a super driver comes out and then suddenly your card's way better. But the guys who've got the Nvidia cards or even the ATI cards or whatever's going on may have had a better experience to begin with. And it's so, like, I don't like, it's really bad for us as consumers because, I mean, hell, look at SLI. You could sit here with triple fucking SLI 980s and you get shit performance in The Witcher 3 because it doesn't support it very well. Or you sit there with just dual SLI, doesn't support it very well. In fact, SLI with The Witcher 3 crashes the game quite a lot. You know, and now for a game that uses Nvidia technology, why is that the case?
Yeah.
Surely it should work, but it doesn't. It crashes the game. Now, these are people who've spent thousands on GPUs, yet they can't play the game. You know, it's so ridiculous. Like, people say to me, Sty, you're going to get SLI. No, I would never get SLI because I know it's fucking rancid. I might be able to sit there with like, oh yeah, I can play games in fucking 4K resolution and I can do this and I can do that. Which for me as a YouTuber makes no difference because the highest I'm ever going to make for YouTube is 1080p because who the fuck is going to watch 4K? Who the fuck watches 1080p for a start? 720 is where it's at. You know, GPUs and the whole fucking dilemma with like which one to buy and which works better with what games. It literally is a case of you will not know until the game comes out if your GPU has been optimized for it, even if your GPU is faster. You know, if we've both got a Nvidia cards, so we both know the performance that we're going to get. If I had an ATI card, though, sorry, an AMD card, I'm so old school, I just keep calling them ATI. He might trust me for performance, yet my card's worth like 500 quid. I'd be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? That puts a lot of, I know I'm ranting a bit, but that puts a lot of people off, like, with PCs. You know, I mean, I was at a wedding the other week, right? And I'm talking to normals. Now, I don't get a chance to talk to fucking normals that often, but when I'm talking to them, I'm getting all wrapped in my chair. I'm talking to them, and they're like, wow, what do you do? I'm like, make gaming content on PC. They're like, play games on PC? I'm like, yeah, mate, of course I do. They're like, oh, don't you play on the Xbox or the PS4? The problem is, right, these people are not, they find it strange that you play on games on PC anyway, but if you can just buy a fucking console and the games just work, I mean, remember Rui, we spoke to Rui about this months and months ago, probably like a year ago, and he had the same argument, which was just like, consoles just work. Which is funny now because they kind of don't, because like look at Mortal Kombat and stuff like that, but on the whole, they just work. You put the game in and you play. You don't have to sit here and be like, oh, I mean, I've gone in and edited the graphics, any files for The Witcher, the config files as well, to change things, like to make the fucking cutscenes run at 60 FPS instead of 30, to do other changes to draw distance and shit like that. What the hell? People are not going to do that. They're just going to be like, my game don't fucking work. What's going on? And it isn't acceptable to have a game, right? We seem to be slamming on The Witcher, but it's happened with a load of games in the past. To have a game that you cannot fucking play. I think, you know, Bad Company 2, I think this worked faster on ATI cards than it did on Nvidia, right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I can remember this in the back of my head. ATI card, oh no, maybe it was Nvidia cards run faster. See, even I'm getting confused. One of them ran faster. So it meant when you joined a game, if you had let's just say if you had an Nvidia card, you had like an extra minute of loading just because you had an Nvidia card. But if you had an ATI card, you got in there faster. It was regardless of whatever card you had. Even if your Nvidia card was 10 times faster than the ATI, it made no difference. So they'd get into the game first, they'd rush into the tanks, into the planes, they would be off flying off by the time you even got into the game. It's like, holy shit. Yeah. That's because there was loading problems on that one card. You know, and that is such a fucking gutter.
The thing is as well that it's not just down to, I mean, it's obviously not just down to the hardware and stuff, but it also depends on what the developer wants to do and what support the different companies are willing to offer. So for instance with The Witcher 3, they just said, well, yeah, we went with Nvidia because we wanted to use HairWorks, we wanted to use GameWorks, and that's better for that stuff. So that's why we used it. AMD, I mean, it's all very well, it'd be better for the consumer if AMD sat there and got access to this technology from Nvidia, but at the same time, Nvidia are not like, they have no reason to give it to them. They have an advantage in the market that, you know, massive titles like The Witcher 3, like Project Cars, for instance, want to use their proprietary technology. And so they do. That's not Nvidia's fault. That's because Nvidia have sat there and they've produced something which the companies want to work with. And when the companies want to work with it, they help them with it. AMD not producing something that's equivalent to that, or not helping as much with the development, you know, in terms of like drivers and so on, that's not the company's fault who's making the game. That's not Nvidia's fault. That's AMD's fault. Like, there's a thing in here about Project Cars where they're talking about how we provided AMD with 20 keys for game testing as they work on the driver's side. But you only have to look at the lesser hardware on the consoles to see how optimized we are on AMD-based chips. We're reaching out to AMD with all of our efforts. We provided them 20 keys. As I say, they're invited to work with us for years. Looking through company mails, the last I can see, AMD talked to us was October of last year. Categorically, Nvidia have not paid us a penny. They have been very forthcoming with support and co-marketing work at their instigation. So, in that respect, if what he says is true, they've said to AMD, okay, well, here's 20 keys. Let's get working on some drivers. Let's get this running smoothly. They've not heard from them since October last year. On the flip side of that, Nvidia has been like, do you need help with this? Do you need help with that? Do you need help with this? Yes, okay, brilliant. And then they've helped them. And so now, Project Cars, funnily enough, works better on Nvidia cards than it does on AMD cards. Well, fancy that. Well, I wonder why that is. It's not... it's really shit in that you don't know what you're going to get. Like, you could buy the most expensive Nvidia card or the most expensive AMD card and find that it's getting outperformed by something half the price from the competitor in your new game. But on the other hand, it's not. It's also down to the companies to produce something that developers want to work with, and it's down to them to produce the drivers as well. The developers aren't making the drivers for the game. The Nvidia and AMD are making the drivers.
I always remember there was a thing from what's his name? Got out of my head. Who works for Oculus VR? Oh my god, Doom. IG.
Shit.
Rockets into space.
Yeah.
Him.
I can't remember. Yeah. Oh, what is his name? That's really annoying.
I don't believe I've got to Google this. I know his name.
I hate it when you forget someone. Who,
no, it's because I went on a rant, so I've just like fucking lost my mind. John Carmack, there we go. He went on a massive rant about drivers and how they inhibit, because he is like a genius, right, guys? He's like a fucking, like, it's somebody who just like understands graphics, I guess, and programming in that kind of example. He was like, drivers really hold back games. DirectX is a problem as well, and there were things that they could do if DirectX was better. And when like DirectX 12 is coming out, you've got stuff like that which will make graphics cards just straight away better, because the way the graphics GPU can interact with the operating system, which interacts with the game, and it's all very complicated. But his rant was basically, if drivers were better, the stuff they could do would be insane. Like, you know, I don't fully understand what goes on with graphics cards and stuff like that, but I bet you now, a lot of the solutions to kind of problems are just to ram more power into a graphics card and attempt to force it through, kind of thing, instead of working a more efficient way out of handling things and doing things in that respect. You know, you kind of see it with consoles. Now, consoles have got outdated GPUs in them by quite a bit, but they will continue to get better graphically as time goes on. Look at the old consoles, look at the 360, look at Grand Theft Auto 5 when that relaunched, end of its life cycle. The best looking game it's had, the end of its life cycle. It's because it is, okay, it's a standardized platform. The way the GPU interacts with the hardware is slightly different, so they can like optimize and build upon that. So over the years it does get more efficient. The problem with computers is everything just gets like, let's get more power, let's ram it in, but then let's not bother fixing older stuff. So, you know, I often think to myself, are there cases where I'm sitting here with my 780, I see no reason at all to upgrade to anything above that, because I'm like, I'm not going to play anything above 1080p because I don't want to. Maybe I would if I was on my own and I wasn't actually, you know, producing content for YouTube and stuff, because there's no way I'd sit here with a 4K monitor, spend 800 quid on that, and then have like £1,000 GPU to drive the graphics to it, to then just record videos at 1080p. That would be insanity. But so maybe I would if I wasn't recording for YouTube. So maybe my views are a bit skewed on it. But even so, I've always, even when I wasn't doing YouTube, the main like driving factor behind me picking up a new GPU would be, will this enhance my gaming experience? I always like to play games on high, or as high as I could get them, but there are certain things I can do without. Like, I could do without, you know, I could put shadows on medium instead of ultra. I can handle that, you know, and things like that, provided it was, you know, the image was sharp that I was looking at and everything was fine and it was smooth. You know, I was cool with that sort of thing. So I don't know, I just get like a feeling sometimes where, yeah, well, it just makes me laugh when I see people who are like, oh my god, look at, I mean, I follow me JP on Twitter, and he's like, oh my god, my computer, I've got 980s SLI, I get 40 FPS on The Witcher. I get better than that, and I've got 1780. How is that even possible? You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm getting that straight away, you know, how it's just ridiculous. Like, and it makes you think what a massive waste of money it is, because you're just buying stuff for no point, really.
A bit of a
it might be the fastest, yeah, and maybe a month or 2 months down the line, yeah, there'll be a patch and it's like, whoa, fucking hell, the game runs amazing now. But time moves on.
Alternatively, you could, after you've played The Witcher 3, buy the next big release and find the performance is even worse because they worked more closely with AMD than Nvidia, and the drivers are better, and so it makes a difference anyway. Woohoo! But it's, I mean, at the end of the day as well, it's like, it's one of those things where it's easy to kind of, people seem to like to pick favourites as well. Like, I know there's a lot of brand loyalty when it comes to stuff like this. But at the end of the day, all it comes down to is who has got the money, who's got the technology, and who is going to work harder to make it work. At the moment, it looks slightly more like Nvidia is ahead, purely because they've got these technologies that AMD is having to ask for, and they're not getting because Nvidia don't have to give them to them, and they never will have to give them to them. You've essentially just got to look at, instead of like saying, well, I prefer this company because of this, that, or the other. Which company is producing the best stuff? Which one is producing the drivers that consistently outshine the other? That's essentially the only thing you can do with graphics cards in particular, because the actual performance of them is so like wildly different from game to game and from year to year, and it's, in a way, it's just not worth sitting there like churning out, forking over cash to get the new big best graphics card from either of them, because for all you know, the next game that you play, it could get 30 FPS or it could get 130. You just don't know, because sadly that's how it's come to work now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. I mean, I was just googling like who is actually like what company's bigger, and I think AMD made more revenue last year, but it lost 400 million, but it still made more revenue because AMD's offering is, they're very much like, I mean, they make GPUs for like the Wii U, and they like loads of low budget machines and stuff use a lot of like AMD shitty graphics cards, and I think they do the graphics for both the new the Xbox and the PlayStation. So, but whereas Nvidia on the other hand are very much focused on like PC graphics, and their revenues were still like in the billions, like 5 point something billion they'd made. Like, I mean, if you want to talk from like a complete kind of like marketing standpoint, Nvidia looks like the more premium offering almost all the time. Yeah. Because they're the ones who sponsor all of these esports tournaments. They're the ones who like have got, more often than not, the fastest GPU. They've got a lot of the sexy shit behind them. They've got like, we're Nvidia, we do this, we do that. And I think, as time goes on, I think we're probably going to see AMD maybe retract from the high-end market or from the PC gaming market, probably maybe altogether, which if that does happen, that's bad for us because we want competition. Because the fact is, if somebody came to me on a budget and were like, I've got 500 quid to put a computer together, it would have an AMD card in it, because it would be very similar in performance to a card that Nvidia sell, which would be a lot more, but it would be similar in performance. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Intel versus AMD on the CPU front. Everybody will go, oh, well, fucking hell, AMD, their CPUs are shit. It's like, well, they're not actually. They're not that bad. Look at the price. Like Kiri, I'm a really bad example for this because I need the Hex Core i7 I've got because of all the shit I do. Because I do like encoding and streaming. It's all high-end stuff that needs to be done. Kiri, on the other hand, he's got an i5. He's got an i7, sorry. He's got a Devil's Canyon i7. So it's a 4-core i7, which obviously is only really going to be used for encoding stuff, yeah? But if he was just playing games, he does not need anything more than an i5. I mean, hell, Mr. Kirioff had an i5 from fucking years ago in his computer. Yeah, explain to me your gaming experience, Mr. Kirioff, with that.
There's been literally pretty much no change. I mean, the only reason we upgraded this machine was just so that, because I've taken over the encoding for most of the videos on the YouTube channel, it was quicker. That's all it boils down to. It's quicker for me to encode, and therefore it's quicker for me to then record something else. That is literally it. In terms of like day-to-day performance, it's had almost no impact whatsoever because it's not added anything to it. So.
Yeah, so basically my point is you could get away with a cheaper AMD CPU or even their APU things, whatever they call them these days, a cheaper AMD card, and you could like be gaming at 1080p quite happy, which I don't know, it's just weird.
The AMD card I had before was fine. The only reason I upgraded to this Nvidia one was because the other one was just getting too hot. Like I'd had it for years and years. It still ran everything at 60 FPS, which is all that I require of it. It was still perfectly fine, but the issue was that it kept overheating and it made a ton of noise. That's the only reason it was replaced. If it hadn't been for like an actual technical failure of the card, having had like years of use, then I don't know if I'd have changed it, because if it can run stuff on high and it goes at 60 FPS, that's enough for me. But the thing is, for most people, if it runs stuff on medium and does 30 FPS, the majority of people will be okay with that. So it's like that all the high end stuff. It's like, do you really need it? Is it going to make that much of a difference?
Nobody in the right mind want to play games at medium at 30 FPS unless you want to be fucking hit around the back of the head with a shovel. But like the argument is the high fucking super high end GPUs we're talking about, like the Titans, the Titan X's, the Titan fucking Zs or whatever they call them these days. they're like, yeah, they're big showpiece things, and it's like for the big guy, like, look at my fucking EP, and yeah, I've got the massive fucking, yeah, and it's like, then it's the same guy next week moaning, oh, my fucking triple SLI don't work, you know, and it's like, yeah, because they don't give a fuck about optimizing for SLI, because hardly any fucker uses it in comparison to all their other shit, which again is another problem, and it's just like, it's bad. Anyway, the final thing I want to talk about on HOTFIX is we're going to go back to Daybreak Games, because this kind of made me laugh. This is there is a new progression server on Everquest. Now, if you may remember, I did stream Everquest 1999, which was a fan-made server which is free to play on. It actually works really well. Like, it's a really good server. You get a really good ping on it, and it's got a load of population. And what this does is allows you to play in 1999 with everything as it was in 1999. However, Sony obviously thought this was a good idea, and they've been working on their own, called the I call them Sony, it's Daybreak, but I'm always going to call them Sony because they've been that for years. Daybreak, with Adrian and Charles, worked on fucking their own progression server, which they called Ragefire, I believe, and they list all of the shit that's in it. Now, you won't know or understand any of this unless you're an Everquest player, or maybe you watch the stream that I put together. But there are some like shocking things in this. Let's go back to the camera face thing. So it uses the newer graphics engine, so things look better. It also has the new UI, so the UI looks better. But then it also has things like no corpse runs. Now, corpse runs are like a big thing in Everquest. If you watch my stream, you'd know how big this was, because it was literally 2 hours of the stream, as my corpse was lost somewhere in Nectarless Forest, guarded by a bunch of rancid mobs, which I was trying to find, and because the zone was so massive, I couldn't find it, and eventually I had to get the help of a kind traveller, because this is all the Everquest experience, who found my corpse for me, and it was all fine and dandy. Because all your items are on your corpse and you die, you have to get your corpse back. That's not in this, and that made me laugh, because that's like, you're supposed to be a hardcore progression server that slowly unlocks the expansions as they go, but you're like making it a little bit easier. It's kind of
taking out a key component of it, isn't it? It's like one of the things that made it so hardcore is just gone, which is like, why?
It's not there anymore. But yeah, it isn't really much of a news point. I just wanted to quickly touch on it because it's like, it made me laugh, the fact there is this. Also, this is subscription based as well, so you have to pay to play on this. It's not free to play or anything. There are some free to play servers in on EverQuest. I think most of the servers are free to play with the current game, but because of the way the old game works, it doesn't have the free to play mechanics in the game yet, so you have to pay to play. Now, I think, and also actually they had to shut the server down. This was kind of interesting. They opened it up. They left the ability to just level yourself to 50, which was in the beta, just in the game. So when you start, you just level 50. So they had to shut that down, and I think they're gonna. Oh, it's been restarted now. But there will be thousands of people who will play this because they remember the glory years, and it's like, holy shit, EverQuest is kind of back. I'm going to play it. They'll load it up, and they'll be like, the UI's a bit different. Where's my corpse run? But I think they could probably let that go, and they would get stuck into the game and kind of enjoy it again for what it is. And I think Daybreak will make quite a bit of cash off it. But yeah,
you don't think it's weird that
we need to see a WoW? WoW needs to do it.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. Of all the companies, Daybreak are the ones who have listened to players going, we want vanilla.
They're money-grabbing bastards.
But it's like, they've recognised the fact that people have paid for it, so they've given it to them. Blizzard, on the other hand, whenever someone says any chance for vanilla server, they go, no, progression, no, we've done it, don't want to go back, not doing it, no, you can't have one. And then if someone sets up their own, they go, no, fuck you, take that down. Cease and desist. Why
it'll happen. It'll happen. I think it'll happen.
It's really odd.
I think it'll happen at some point, and it'll be massive, bloke. I'm not joking. I'd play it because I never played Vanilla WoW. I'd be like, let me check this out.
Well, we came in Burning Crusade, didn't we? I'd play it. I would absolutely play it. And the thing is, as well, they lost what did we say on HOTFIX? It was like 3 million.
Yeah, since they're down to like 7.1 million subs, the lowest they've ever, well, not the lowest they've ever been, but the lowest they've been after an expansion, like even lower than like Cataclysm.
I bet they get quite a lot of that back if they did that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's irritating because
people want the hardcore. Well, people want a gaming experience where they can actually have fun gaming. You know what I mean? Like, well, not have fun gaming, but like have a like go through that experience again. People like that.
Yeah, and it just strikes me as interesting that it's Daybreak that's doing it. I know they're doing it just out of a money making exercise, but surely even Blizzard can see that they would get more. They would earn quite a bit by opening up vanilla servers or.
I would bet a vast amount of money that at some point it will be a thing. There will be like go back to the past or something. It will be like the World of Warcraft something. I mean, because I don't know why they wouldn't do it. Because let's be honest, they've got all of the shit to just turn it on and then go, there you go, there's the server, get on with it. Maybe they're too worried about like influencing other projects they've got down the line. I mean, we know they're working on Overwatch, or maybe they've got plans for WoW 2, whatever that will be. But to be honest, the way WoW's going, any other version of WoW is most likely going to be a even more theme parky-ish. Which, I mean, let's face it, WoW is... Warlords of Draenor did a lot of good things, but it's just sort of... I mean, I hilariously, on the very first Warhammer stream I did, okay, so I streamed painting Warhammer models, I found a 2-month WoW subscription card in my drawer. I don't even know where this came from. The stream noticed it, right? Because I was opening the drawer, showing them like shit on the stream. I don't know what I was showing. And they were like, "Is that a WoW game card?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it must have been used because it was like from years ago. I mean, maybe it's gone out of date. This literally is a thing from about 2008, maybe, or 2007. Because I can remember when I ordered it, it was like cheap on Amazon, or something. So I'm like, I must have used it, but apparently I didn't. And it was still in there, and it still had like the scratch thing. So really, I could just load that up now and play that, but I don't want to. I don't care. In the past, I used to be like, you know what? Just want to relax. Let's just fuck about on WoW, maybe, right? And you get like the free account or something, and then you realise after about an hour, oh shit, what am I doing? And you fuck it off. But I don't know. But like anyway, in the Everquest example here, it's kind of good that they're doing it, but like I said, they're only doing it because they want people to come back to the game, because that is a game. Like Everquest is a game that had a massive population and then just went downhill to wherever it is now. It's still obviously got a few. Probably got like maybe 30,000 players, I reckon. Maybe less. That's still quite good for a subscription cost game. Which, because everything reduces every year, so bandwidth cost goes down, hardware required goes down. Their overheads to run it are not that big. They basically pay the devs to just make more content and to take the subs, so they're easily making money off it. Yeah. But for them to say, you know what, let's go back to the glory years. I now want to play on this server, as bad as it sounds, because it's like an official thing. You know what I mean? It's like, this is a real thing, and I know it's going to have more population than like EQ 1999 would have,
and it'll have the features that they said will work. It's less likely to be in any way buggy, or there'll be something missing because they don't manage to do it. It'll just be what they say it is, which again is like it might just be for money making purposes. But I kind of like the fact that someone's done this, and I'd quite like to see it like stretch to WoW. But I think there'll be a long time before it happens for Blizzard.
I'd like to see it happen, but again, like you don't know. I mean, with me saying before, like I'd bet money on them actually doing it. I would, but then I could also understand why they wouldn't do it, because they've got things like Hearthstone and other games which make a ton of money. I mean, Heroes of the Storm has just come out of beta, which I don't think that is going to be anything that good, but it's obviously going to make them money. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of HOTFIX, so we've covered a lot of stuff in this HOTFIX. It's been quite a long HOTFIX, but it's been a Le Poix HOTFIX, ladies and gentlemen. A pure HOTFIX, a show of the highest caliber, as it always is. Now, if you do enjoy the show and you have watched the entire thing, then maybe you could consider supporting us on Patreon, which is the link over there above Bingo's head. That is, it will take you to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/HOTFIX, and you can support us. Even $1 helps us, guys. Just if you think there's no point doing it, there really is. $1 helps a shitload.
Yeah.
There's a link.
There's
in the description
always a link
as well.
in the description every time. Yeah. So.
And you will get a shout out at the start of the next HOTFIX. And also, if you didn't get a shout out this week, let me know. Send me a message over Patreon and I will get you. And people always ask about the guests. Something I'm going to try and sort out is one of the problems we've got is the way this gets recorded is generally like in the afternoon, the BST or GMT when it does convert to that, which isn't really good for a lot of our chums, let's say, on YouTube, because they're generally... Let's say the YouTuber is a nocturnal animal and he does not function or she does not function at such a grotesquely early hour. Also, they may be in a completely different continent, in which case the clocks are of a different time. So it is the past, or indeed the future, or indeed 1 a.m. in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I am trying to fix it. So I'll hopefully I can get it sorted and we can get guests on, because we do need to get guests onto HOTFIX and even for podcasts as well. But I'll leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. Any final words, Mr. Kirioff?
Love it. Always the final words. Love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you next time. Toodaloo.